So we have lots of exciting news at Volunteer West Virginia. We're coming alive with the spring weather. So we are hiring an administrative coordinator. So if you know anyone that would like to join our team, be sure to let them know. And then we have two other exciting announcements. The nominations are now open for the Governor Service Awards. You can nominate a volunteer or a group of volunteers, and you have until the end of the month to do that. So be sure not to miss it. And also grant writing training is back. That is one of our most popular trainings, and it's going to be held in April and May here in Charleston. So if you're interested in that, jump over to our website and see what else is going on at Volunteer West Virginia. So if this is your first time to our Volunteer West Virginia webinar series, it's really fun. We do it every second Wednesday of the month, and our goal is to network, have fun, and provide free trainings throughout the state. We have lots of exciting topics coming up over the next few months. We're going to be talking about recruiting volunteers online, putting the fun in fundraising, and then in June for West Virginia Day, we're going to feature history and culture of West Virginia. So if you're interested, before you forget, hop over to our website and you can register for all the upcoming trainings throughout the next year. So the reason why we put this webinar together is that next week is AmeriCorps week. So we wanted to wish a happy AmeriCorps week to all the alums and members. So if you're a member or an alumni, be sure to say hello in the chat box. And we're going to feature all kinds of exciting projects and AmeriCorps opportunities throughout the state today. So just to dive a little bit deeper, we're going to do an AmeriCorps history lesson and then just a basic overview, AmeriCorps 101, about all the different programs in the state. We are going to meet some AmeriCorps members through our AmeriCorps member spotlight. And then at the end of the presentation, we're going to share how you can get connected to an AmeriCorps member to serve at your organization or to be an AmeriCorps member in West Virginia. So AmeriCorps has a really big history in West Virginia and Appalachia, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. It all started with the CCC of the 1930s and the 40s. This was a New Deal program which started to put young men back to work after the Great Depression. You might be interested to know that a lot of the CCC teams served in Appalachia and throughout the country. There were actually 67 CCC camps in West Virginia, and these members did all kinds of things. They planted billions of trees, constructed a lot of the parks and trails that we use today in West Virginia, shelters, and helped with all kinds of other things. And we like to say that the CCC is really the great grandparents of AmeriCorps and kind of where this idea of national service first started. So if you all have been to Capon State Park, that is a CCC program, and they helped to build the whole state park in 1940. And I love this picture. It said it was taken on a Sunday in 1940, showing off their new state park. So we had the CCC of the 30s and the 40s, that's our foundation. And then along came the development of VISTA, which stands for Volunteers in Service to America. This was a brainchild of John F. Kennedy. He thought if we have a Peace Corps outside of the United States, we should have one in the United States. So he helped to form this in 1967 or 68, I want to say. The whole premise of VISTA was to fight the war on poverty. And I really love to spotlight this picture in the right-hand corner. This is JFK when he was running for president, and he's standing on a stool in Logan County. And if you look a little bit closer at that picture, there's a little Easter egg in it. You'll see there's a little boy, and he's holding up a toy gun, which kind of blows my mind, but it's something we always like to point out because it's such an interesting historic picture of JFK running for president in West Virginia. So many of the first VISTAs actually served in Appalachia. They would do things like go into homes and mentor students and teach reading. They also educated communities on Black lung. So before, it wasn't even well known that Black lung was a disease. So they'd go into home and educate people on that. And here we have a picture of a former VISTA in Raleigh County. This was probably one of the first VISTA members in the state. One of West Virginia's most famous VISTAs was Senator Jay Rockefeller. He moved here to serve in Emmons, West Virginia. You can see him reading a book to a little boy. There's an interesting story that Jay Rockefeller was in West Virginia at least 3 or 4 months before anyone would welcome him into their homes. But once they did, they really fell in love with him. And then he fell in love with West Virginia and moved here and became our state senator for several years, based on his experience in VISTA. So we're going to fast forward to 1994, and that's when AmeriCorps really became AmeriCorps. So it was founded by Bill Clinton, and it included all of the programs we talked about. So AmeriCorps VISTA and AmeriCorps NCCC, which we're going to talk a little bit more about today. So that's when it all started. AmeriCorps has such a big presence in West Virginia. This is from 2021. There were over 4,400 service sites in the state, and then 3,000 AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior members, which is outstanding. One of the biggest perks of AmeriCorps is that it brings a lot of funding to West Virginia, and it also provides members an opportunity to receive an education award. So since it started in 1994, AmeriCorps members in West Virginia have earned $3.8 million in education awards, which is fabulous. So we like to show off our AmeriCorps members. This is the last time we were all together in person in 2019, and it really shows the impact of AmeriCorps in the state, and we're looking forward to being together again later this year in person. So now that we went over AmeriCorps and its history, we are really excited to do an AmeriCorps member spotlight and feature an AmeriCorps member in service. So we are joined today by Courtney Summers. I spoke to her last week and I really enjoyed our conversation. Her enthusiasm is contagious. She's an AmeriCorps VISTA in Fairmont, and she's helping to start a new exciting volunteer program, as well as several other things in Fairmont. So she's going to tell us a little bit about her service. So welcome, Courtney.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
What I think is so cool about you, Courtney, is that after being a special education teacher for several years, you moved to West Virginia to be an AmeriCorps VISTA. So how have you been enjoying West Virginia so far? What are some of your favorite things?
Well, it's been a good experience. I have a lot of cousins where I am, so that definitely is a big help. I really love the outdoor experiences around here. We've been able to take some great hikes. We love going to Valley Falls State Park. I'm super excited about the concerts again this summer at Palatine Park. My husband and I have been able to make a home here.
I love that. And Courtney was previously living in Maryland, and she grew up near Seattle, which I forgot to mention before, but it sounds like you've really found your home in West Virginia.
Yeah, I think we have.
So when you moved to Fairmont, you really hit the ground running at the Fairmont Community Development Partnership. Can you tell us all a little bit about what your service has been like as an AmeriCorps member and what you've been doing?
It's been very busy. I was able to complete the organizational capacity assessment, define gaps in policies and SOPs, then draft those to get approved by the board. I run all the social media, marketing, and content development. I build a lot of virtual resources on the website. So there's a 9-lesson budgeting toolkit, an emergency preparedness hub, a community resources page, and a volunteer hub. I've been doing monthly engagement sessions on Zoom to educate people about the organization and gain community feedback for the strategic plan. And we actually recently just did our first volunteer event. I got my husband involved with that as well, and I'm planning some exciting community events to fundraise this summer.
I was really excited you were planning volunteer projects in Fairmont. I think that's really cool. Why do you think volunteering is so important?
It's always great to give back to the community, you know, and to get involved, and you're able to meet new people and to just really learn more about where you're from or where you moved to.
Or where you moved to. Yeah, it's a great way to meet people. And I feel like now that COVID feels like it's passing, at least, more people are going to want to get out and about and re-engage in their community. So it's a perfect time to have a program like yours.
I agree.
So Courtney is a Vista at the Fairmont Community Development Partnership, but she's also with the Community Development Hub. What do you enjoy about being with the Community Development Hub? And do you have a favorite story about being a Vista through their program?
I really enjoy how close-knit my cohort is. So we will email each other like wins and tips. And Erin, who's in charge of my cohort from the hub, she's awesome. She's great to work with, and she's great leading our group. I really enjoyed the service projects we've done. For 9/11, we did an outdoor cleanup with Friends of Deckers Creek, which is where one of my cohort members is. And it was great being able to meet everyone in person and to spend the day cleaning up the park. We also just did a poster project for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and it was great learning about the impact the African American community has had in West Virginia and the contributions they've made, especially as someone not from the state. So it was really great to learn all about that.
One of the amazing things about being an AmeriCorps member is that you get to try a little bit of everything. So I love hearing about all your projects, Courtney, and everything that you've been doing with the hub. It's really inspiring. And I know after we talked, I felt inspired. Like I need to go back to my Vista roots and do something fun in my community.
I would agree. It has been a blast getting my hands dirty and just learning all sorts of new things.
So you mentioned to me that you were a special education teacher for several years, and then you're kind of restarting your career as an AmeriCorps Vista. How has it benefited you, and like, what is the impact of using Vista as a career builder?
Well, I'm making great connections here, both personally and professionally. So like with the gals in the cohort, they're from various different backgrounds, and I'm able to learn a lot from them and hang out with them as friends. I mean, I went back to school to make a difference outside of the classroom. So I love being able to use those skills that I learned through my MBA studies. And it's been great being able to like hone new skills and really figure out which roles I love. So I've discovered I love communications and marketing with website design. And I never would have known that if I hadn't pursued this.
I think it's amazing you've really embraced this transition in your life. I can't imagine starting my career over, and that you found something that you love so much. It's really admirable and pretty special.
Thank you.
Before you go, what are your plans for the next 5 years? If you could be anywhere, where do you want to be?
Oh gosh. We want to I know my husband and I just want to both make an impact wherever we end up. Like, he's studying environmental science. I want to continue with nonprofit work. So maybe we'll end up working together.
I love that. Well, Courtney, I'm so glad that you moved to West Virginia and you took a chance, and that you have such a remarkable story about being an AmeriCorps member and building your career. That's really special.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you want to share?
If anyone's like on the fence about joining, just do it.
Just do it.
You won't have regrets. It's great.
Oh, thanks, Courtney. I'm so glad we met, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person in the next few months.
Likewise. Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. So that was a really amazing story from Courtney. We say informally that about half of our AmeriCorps members are from out of state, just like Courtney, and that they moved to West Virginia and they fall in love with it. So now that you're curious about AmeriCorps, I'm going to pass it on to Christina, and she's going to explain the different programs and the benefits of each of them.
Thanks, Dana. AmeriCorps is such a wonderful program, but it can get a little complicated and a little difficult to understand. So we are here to demystify AmeriCorps for anyone who might have some questions. We're going to start with this short video about AmeriCorps.
As AmeriCorps members and volunteers, we do more than talk about our core values. We take action and commit to making our community stronger.
At AmeriCorps, my commitment to equity gives every student a strong start.
Our compassion brings food and friendship to neighbors in need.
My determination protects parks in my community.
Now more than ever, your community needs you. What's at your core? Learn more at AmeriCorps.gov.
We love that video because it not only shows the diversity of AmeriCorps members that are serving across the country, but also the diversity of projects and causes that AmeriCorps members are working on. It's really all across the board. So, like I said, we're going to demystify AmeriCorps for everyone a little bit today. We have under our big AmeriCorps umbrella 2 main branches of AmeriCorps. Those are plain old AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps Seniors, which is a special subset of AmeriCorps programs for those that are 55 years old and older. Under the plain Jane AmeriCorps side, we have 3 different programs. Those are AmeriCorps State and National, AmeriCorps Vista, which was, like Danish said at the beginning with our history lesson, that was one of the first programs that eventually got brought under the wing of AmeriCorps. And we have AmeriCorps NCCC. AmeriCorps members receive lots of benefits throughout their service. All AmeriCorps members receive career development and personal development. And our AmeriCorps State and National, Vista, and NCCC members receive a living allowance, an education award, which is always equal to the federal Pell Grant. So right now, a full year of AmeriCorps service would get someone a $6,495 education award, which can be used to further your education at a trade school or a community college or a university, or it can be used to pay back certain federal student loans, which is a huge draw for lots of people to serve in AmeriCorps. And full-time AmeriCorps members also can qualify for health insurance through their program if they don't already have health coverage, which is huge. All of the AmeriCorps programs are surrounded on one or more of these focus areas, which our federal agency has identified as the most pressing needs throughout our country. They are education, health and healthy futures, economic opportunity, environmental stewardship, disaster services, and veterans and military families. So those have been identified as our key focus areas that all of the AmeriCorps members serving across the country are working under at least one of those areas. AmeriCorps members serve at lots of different places. This can include nonprofit organizations, which we see a lot of here in West Virginia. They can also serve at schools or government agencies. If you're curious to see where AmeriCorps members are located, we are now going to do our world premiere of our 2022 AmeriCorps map. And I'm going to share this link in the chat box for you guys so that you can check it out yourself. We're really proud of this map. We have about 150 pins on this map that show all types of different service sites where members are serving. So if you're an AmeriCorps member yourself, this is a great tool to zoom in on your area. Maybe you're in Elkins and you want to see where other members are serving. All of these little pins represent AmeriCorps member sites, and it will tell you the location of the service member, and that can enable you to get in touch with them. There also is a search function, so you could find maybe the nearest AmeriCorps site to you, and it's just incredible to zoom out and see just how much of our state is covered by AmeriCorps members. It's pretty impressive. So I'll just demo the search function for you guys really fast. I'm going to put in my zip code. I live near Hinton in Summers County, West Virginia. So I put in my zip code there and it brought up the closest AmeriCorps member to me, which is a Preserve West Virginia AmeriCorps member serving at the Hinton Historic Landmarks Commission. So we're really proud of this map. It's going to be living on our website forever, and we'll update it as new sites are added. But feel free to take a look around that and get a better idea of where AmeriCorps members are serving throughout the state. Even though our map is pretty full, there are a couple of empty spots, and we are trying to fill those gaps. So we are currently seeking partnerships, and we want to connect any agencies or organizations in Roane County or Gilmer County to our AmeriCorps network so that we can say we have AmeriCorps presence in all 55 counties of West Virginia. That is a dream of ours. We want to make sure that there's an AmeriCorps member in every county. So if anybody on the call has connections to a nonprofit or somebody that could use an extra set of hands to get things done, please send them our way. I'm going to pass it back to Dana for our second AmeriCorps Spotlight.
So we are really excited to introduce an AmeriCorps alum today. I met Chris Berg when she was an AmeriCorps member with Appalachia Health Corps, and she served 4 years of service, and now she is the AmeriCorps project manager. So welcome, Chris. It's so great to see you.
Hi, Dana. I am very happy to be here.
So what I love about your program is it's pretty unique. Your AmeriCorps members serve as peer recovery coaches, and they also serve as community health workers. And I was reading about your members on your website today, and you call them miracle workers, which is so perfect. So they help.
They do.
They help clients lower their diabetes by visiting them weekly and then helping them make an exercise plan and healthy food plan. So that really inspired me, Chris. And I have a serious question to ask you based on thinking about that. If you were any vegetable, what would you be?
Yeah, Dana, that was funny because I'm a vegetarian. So I happen to love vegetables. So it was very difficult to choose one, but I chose pepper, okay? Because some are sweet and some are spicy. And if you've ever had a roasted pepper, they're really good when they're under fire. So whenever things get, hot around here and things need to get done, I'm ready for it. So, and I can handle it.
I love that. You are sweet and you're spicy, Chris.
I wanted to say hot, but I didn't think that was appropriate. So spicy.
You're hot too. We'll put in all 3 adjectives. So that is perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear why are you so passionate and spicy about your AmeriCorps program, and how are AmeriCorps members with Appalachia Health Corps making an impact in the state?
Well, I have to tell you, the AmeriCorps changes lives, not just the people we're working with and the people we're helping, but it helps them themselves. We had one gal serving in Hardy County, and she was working at the Health and Wellness Center, and just helping people. They collected food for the local food pantries, and she was at one of those events and met this man who he just needed help because he needed to lose weight. He wasn't healthy, and she started working with him one-on-one, and I did a lot of walking. Well, I'm bells in the future for that young woman. So she met him, and they started dating after all those long walks. So like you, Dana, you can find love in AmeriCorps. So
what? That story took an unexpected turn, and I love it.
Yes. She never expected it. I mean, she's in her 60s. So it was just a fabulous thing that she never expected. But our community health workers, they not only help with the diabetes, but sometimes they help get Medicaid cards for them, or SNAP benefits. I mean, there are so many things that keep people from being healthy that have nothing to do with medication or diet. It's the other things that one of the gentlemen didn't have a phone, so he was always missing appointments. Community health worker got him a phone. So, yeah.
Wow. I love hearing stories about your members because, I mean, they're really saving lives, and it's remarkable.
They are, one person at a time.
So like Chris mentioned, you can find love in AmeriCorps, right? I found my husband through the program, and you can also find a career, just like Courtney mentioned. Yep. Chris was an AmeriCorps member for 4 years. So can you share kind of how AmeriCorps impacted your career and changed your life?
Well, before AmeriCorps, I did several different volunteer, not jobs, but volunteer opportunities, and only worked part-time. But it came to me part of my life where I needed to do something full time. I went to diabetes prevention class that a friend was teaching, and I said, well, I could do that. So I started, I applied and was accepted, and I really loved doing what I was doing, helping people get healthier. And near the end of my service, it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? And that's when Dr. Whitberg said, I'm starting a program across the river. I would like to help me with the program. And that's how I got here, is because I started out and met people. AmeriCorps, you make connections. The last young woman said making connections. It's true, you do. I made connections at WVU, Marshall University, WVSOM. I have people everywhere that I have met and gotten to know. And then I used my education award. I finished my bachelor's degree, and it was actually a year ago I graduated, and that's all due to AmeriCorps. I never would have tackled that if I hadn't served as AmeriCorps member.
Congratulations, and that's really a beautiful story and a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite story from your AmeriCorps service?
that was another one. 4 years. My service was not boring at all. We did all kinds of things. We went to health fairs and taught classes, and but I think my favorite story is when they were holding a mock disaster down in Kanawha, and some of the AmeriCorps members went down to be the victims. This is where they trained the EMS and the firefighters, the police officers. They even had the hospitals involved in this. It took place in one of the office buildings, and each person was a particular victim, and they had some people there were makeup artists, and I ended up with this big burn on the side of my face, and it was just wonderful being part of training for these public servants, for the emergency personnel. It was great. And it was, kind of nice being around all those men in uniforms too. That wasn't so bad either.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. That was a fun day. I haven't thought about that in a while, Chris. And you just never know where AmeriCorps is going to take you. You might be at a health fair one day and then in a burning building the next day.
Yep.
It's really an adventure. So we're really proud of your program at Volunteer West Virginia. You started with community health workers, and then you've added a new component in the last few years, which is peer recovery supporters. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, if you don't know, a peer recovery supporter is an individual with a lived experience of mental health and/or substance use disorder who is actively in recovery and wants to help others. Because that's important to know. A lot of our AmeriCorps members honestly have felonies. And like we said, you can serve as an AmeriCorps member, because she thought she'd never be able to get a job ever again. But their lived experience is what makes them productive. It's what makes them change lives. One of them has been working with a young woman for a year. And it's not, she wanted me to make sure everybody knew it wasn't everything that the member did to help her stay sober, because there were other activities that she did along her journey. But she is probably going to be an AmeriCorps member come September, so she can share and help others. So she can just, go forward and share her experience and help others, which I thought was great. They're also helping to break the stigma of recovery. I think 4 years ago, there was 1 or 2 peer recovery supporters in this area, and now there are over 30. And the ones that have served, usually they are we call it snatched up. They gain gainful, good employment when they're done with their service.
That is remarkable. It makes me so happy hearing about that, and that you've opened up AmeriCorps to a completely different audience who really needs it, and that they're able to use it as a career path is just really special. And we're really proud of your program for doing that.
Well, thank you. We're proud of our members.
So Chris, do you have anything else you want to share with us?
No, just that AmeriCorps changes lives, and it's the best thing I ever did. I would recommend it for anybody.
Thank you, Chris. It was so great talking to you. I always love seeing you, and you're my favorite chili pepper now.
Oh, great. Thanks, Dana.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So it was great hearing from Chris and Courtney. I know my heart is glowing. So if you're feeling inspired, Christina's going to tell us how to get connected.
This is another demystifying of AmeriCorps that we want to lead everyone through. Like Dana said, if you're feeling inspired, if you've heard now from 2 different AmeriCorps members who have had completely different but equally amazing experiences with AmeriCorps and have helped organizations to build their capacity and expand their reach, if you might be thinking, hey, we could use one of those guys, listen up. There are a couple different ways to get an AmeriCorps member. You can host a single AmeriCorps member or maybe a couple of them at your organization where they would serve with you daily. You can also host an AmeriCorps NCCC team, or you could host an AmeriCorps senior volunteer. And we're going to walk through what each of those options looks like. So hosting an AmeriCorps member at your organization is an option for many organizations throughout our state. Members at your organization could do things like preserving a historic property or mentoring youth, teaching financial literacy skills to community members, helping high school students recover credits and helping them to graduate, doing environmental outreach and public lands work, or even chronic disease management like we heard Chris talk about. Here's an example of an AmeriCorps member who was providing a service at Woodburn Elementary School in Morgantown. You can see that these AmeriCorps members are really in the throes of things. They're getting their hands dirty. They're providing direct services to the community in which they are serving and making an impact, whether it's a physical impact like helping with landscaping and taking out some brush, or an emotional impact on a person by coaching them through recovery. Another option is to host an AmeriCorps Vista, which we can help you get connected with as well. AmeriCorps Vistas are a little bit more behind the scenes, doing some more administrative tasks, such as developing new programs or expanding programs, writing grants, helping with fundraising. So this is what Courtney was really talking about. She's doing a lot of community work and developing programs, developing volunteer programs, like I said, and service projects, and conducting community outreach. Here's an example of a really wonderful Vista who wrote a grant to the Jennifer Garner Foundation and helped to raise $10,000 for her site, which is incredible. And then the other option is to host an AmeriCorps senior member. Again, the AmeriCorps Seniors program is for those that are 55 and older. And these AmeriCorps senior members do a bunch of different things. Sometimes they are placed in schools or after school programs through the foster grandparent program. They also help seniors with light chores, such as housekeeping or meal prep, or just taking seniors who might not be able to drive anymore or who might not have transportation to the grocery store or to doctor's appointments, or just being a companion and providing friendly visits. So we have a link in these slides, which everyone will receive, where you can find an opportunity, or if you're an organization looking to gain a senior volunteer at your organization, you can connect with one of those agencies. We have over 2,000 AmeriCorps senior volunteers serving in West Virginia each year, which is quite incredible. Really speaks to the spirit of service in West Virginia. And our third option to engage AmeriCorps members at your organization is to host an AmeriCorps NCCC team. Dana is going to interview our final two guests today who are AmeriCorps NCCC members, but a little bit more about this program. These teams are made of 8 to 12 individuals who are younger adults, usually aged 18 to 24 years old. They would come to your organization and serve for a short-term period of time. So the other options we've discussed is usually a full-time person. They come to your organization, they might have a desk there, they are there all the time. And these teams come for a shorter amount of time to accomplish a specific project or help with something shorter term. While they're there, though, they work hard and they work 40 hours of work per week minimum. And if you're interested in hosting an AmeriCorps NCCC team, they are usually accepting applications on a rolling basis to help decide where the teams are going to go to next. And the next application deadline is April 21st. So you have plenty of time to develop an application, and we can get you connected to the right people for that. And maybe you could have a team come help you with a project at your organization. One of the best things about hosting a team of NCCC members is that it's completely free. We like to advertise it as having free volunteers. Usually the sites need to provide or help connect the teams to housing and make sure they have a safe, secure place to stay. But besides that, it is a team of free volunteers for your organization. So now I'm going to pass it to Dana to help us learn more about the NCCC experience.
So we are so happy to feature a AmeriCorps NCCC team that just came to West Virginia on Monday, if you can believe it. We have tied 3, and they have Bruce and Nate representing their teams. They will be in Davis, West Virginia with Friends of Blackwater. And while they're there, they will be installing new signs, working on trails, and helping with invasive species. So it's so great to see you two. Welcome to West Virginia.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it for having us.
So one of the coolest things about AmeriCorps NCCC is that you get to travel the country for 10 months, trying out all kinds of different volunteer projects. I think you all are wrapping up your service, if I understood correctly. So what have some of your favorite projects been, and where were they located?
One of my personal favorite projects, we were in Puerto Rico. We were helping with planting, food distribution. Sorry. It was an amazing time. We got really lucky going there. It was a great time. The weather was amazing. Meeting all the new people there. I'm a little Spanish speaker as well, so it was a great time for me personally.
Very cool. What about you, Nate?
Yeah, Puerto Rico is a unique experience. I really liked our most recent project was in Lafayette, Louisiana. We were building wheelchair ramps for people with disabilities at their houses. So it was kind of gave me a different perspective about like accessibility and how, like, as someone without a disability, like I take that for granted. Kind of just gave me kind of a new perspective.
Yeah, it was probably eye-opening to see how a ramp could change someone's entire life and how it would feel not being able to be connected to things. So that's really cool. So you were in Louisiana, Puerto Rico. Where else did you travel in your team?
North Carolina, New Bern.
Yeah,
oh, cool. What did you do in North Carolina?
We were doing recovery from Hurricane Florence. There were like ongoing recovery efforts. So we're helping, we worked in 4 homes to improve the living space for people.
Very nice. So I know when you all travel, I'm an AmeriCorps alum. We had about NCCC alum. We had 9 people on our team, and we were from all across the country. Bruce, where are you from originally?
I'm from Illinois, Chicago.
You're from Chicago. And then what about you, Nate?
I'm from Wisconsin.
Very cool. And then there's about 4 different NCCC campuses across the state that all the members serve at. And Bruce and Nate are from the southern region, which is in Mississippi.
Yep.
So I know you just got to West Virginia, but I'd be curious to see what have your positive impressions been and what you're looking forward to trying out this spring. What about you, Bruce?
It's my first time being in West Virginia. It's amazing. Drive through all the mountains, all the greenland. It was just beautiful. And one thing I'm really looking forward to is all the amazing hikes and the little towns, trying different food and the people, and honestly anything. It's just an amazing place I've been with so far. I'd love to stay as long as possible.
So sweet. What about you, Nate?
I mentioned I'm from Wisconsin, and I'm from like central Wisconsin. So right above me is the Northwoods. And so far being in Thomas, it feels like I'm home pretty much, which is just, I don't know, kind of crazy to me. So that's been unique, and like seeing the black water, which is something I experienced at home too, is just really exciting.
That's a cool connection. Thomas is such a fun town. I'm so glad you all are there. You're going to have such a good time. There's so much good food and hiking. It's remarkable. And kind of like you said, Bruce, I don't know if you ever would have come to West Virginia if it wasn't for NCCC.
Yeah, I love to come back here anytime, honestly. And I love the harbor being springtime and like everything's coming back to life. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, you came at a great time. So is this your last project and then you're going to graduate?
Yes, it is.
So we have 2 projects in this period before graduation. We have 2 weeks in Thomas with Friends of Blackwater, and then we're working with Rail in Mullins for the rest of the time.
Very cool. So I know when I was in NCCC, I learned a lot about myself. I learned things I love to do, things I never wanted to do ever again. It actually brought me to West Virginia. I never anticipated living here, but I fell in love with all the small towns, kind of like what you were saying, Nate. And I thought if I could fall in love with North Dakota, I could live in West Virginia for a year. So I moved back here and I've been here ever since. So Bruce and Nate, what have you discovered about yourself and what have you learned through NCCC? So Bruce, you can go first.
What I learned about myself is kind of career path. For our specialty roles, we're the CRRs, which stands for Community Relations Recruitment. I'm the recruitment representative, and Nate is the Community Relations Media representative. And I take photos throughout the day, showing the great action shots, what we're doing each day, a fun photo as well. And I kind of might take that career path down the line and find a photography career soon, hopefully. And other skills I've seen and improved myself is speaking publicly. I was always afraid and didn't like to speak in front of people, but this opportunity program has helped me throughout that. And also working with different power tools, different things I've never heard of, with building ramps, with home infrastructure, planting. It just honestly everything I've done through this program is just new to me, and I love it. I love all the skills I gained from this.
A great opportunity. What about you, Nate?
So I did, I'm in this program as a gap year between high school and college because I didn't know what to do. And through like my work and where we're gone, especially the Appalachian Mountains, I kind of realized how much I like missed learning about like rocks and like geology and stuff like that. So actually I am going to school next year for geosciences. So that's exciting and looking forward to that. And I've also learned other things about myself too. I like doing like carpentry work. So this summer I'm hoping to find like a carpentry job to do before college.
Wow, Christine, that's amazing. And Christina said, if you all ever need an AmeriCorps position, Bruce, you would be a great Vista, and Nate, you could come back after school and serve with Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area. We would love to help you find positions if you ever want to come back here.
Appreciate that.
Is there anything else you want to share before we go?
If I think this goes with any AmeriCorps opportunity, but if you're considering, I strongly suggest you do it.
Yeah.
I know we both learned a lot about ourselves. We've been with a group of people from all over the country, so we've learned a lot about other regions and people in those regions, and kind of just as a whole gain a new perspective on life. I think it's definitely shifted my mindset. So I just strongly recommend participating in AmeriCorps if you have the chance to.
That's a great testimonial. And I'm glad you found your path through AmeriCorps, and I'm glad it brought you to West Virginia.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, thanks for sharing your time with us, and we hope we get to see you while you're here and have fun in Mullins and in Thomas while you're here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So let's see. It's so much fun talking to AmeriCorps members. Christina, I think we just need to make a TV show where that's all that we do. What do you think?
I agree. A TV show or a podcast, I think it would be wonderful, because all of these unique experiences and takeaways from service are truly eye-opening.
Love that. Wish we could get a Vista to make a podcast to promote AmeriCorps. We got to talk about this. So if you are interested in having an AmeriCorps member or an AmeriCorps team at your site, you can reach out to me and I would love to help you, and we'll connect you to the best fit for your organization. And then to be an AmeriCorps member, positions are available across West Virginia and the United States. And to find a position, it's basically like an AmeriCorps Google. You'll click the link. Christina will send out the slides after today, and then you can see positions throughout the state and the country, and you apply electronically.
The AmeriCorps NCCC positions are on there as well, aren't they, Dana?
Mm-hmm. So as we wrap up, are there any questions or comments? You can leave them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask them on the screen.
We've had a pretty quiet group so far, so I'm wondering if we'll get any questions. I really loved hearing all of the stories from the AmeriCorps members doing such different things. It really speaks to just the size of AmeriCorps across the country, to hear that we have folks from Illinois and Wisconsin who have done carpentry work and who have done so many different projects all across the country. Meanwhile, we have those health coaches and peer recovery coaches, and we have people fundraising. It's just amazing.
So I think we did such a good job again, Christina, that we don't have any questions.
It doesn't seem like it. If anybody thinks of anything after the fact, if you have questions about more details about becoming an AmeriCorps member or finding a way to get an AmeriCorps member to serve at your organization, we would love to hear from you. I'm also putting in the chat box right now the link to our feedback survey from today's webinar. We would love to hear what you guys thought, or maybe any ideas for future guests or future topics that we can talk about on our monthly Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday series. And also there is a link to register for our upcoming webinars. Dana mentioned them at the beginning, but in April, we're going to be talking about recruiting volunteers online. In May, we're going to talk about putting the fun in fundraising. And in June, we're going to be talking about history and culture of West Virginia. So we'd love to see you guys on any or all of those webinars. And we hope to talk to everyone soon. I'm going to go ahead and close out for today. Thanks everyone for being here, and we'll see you later. Bye.